Well, I got a phone call a couple of hours ago, and it was probably the most humbling experience that I've had in my hockey career, and I really didn't know what to say, and I'm still at the point where I'm really not sure how to put this all in words, but it's certainly a great honor and an exciting day for me and my family. So anyways, open for questions.
Congrats, Jim. Just specifically, what were you doing when you got the call? I mean, are you kind of bracing all day to try to hear one way or another? I mean, what were you doing, and what was it like when you actually did get that call?
Yeah, well, I got a lot going on right now, so I wasn't thinking about it a whole lot. I was driving. I was about 10 minutes away from home, and I answered the phone and said Lanny McDonald and John Davidson, and I said, OMG. I knew when it was them calling, because I remember a year or two ago I watched on the Hockey Network the different calls to people, and so anyways, I knew what that call was about, and it was a great call.
Jim, after you got the call, was there a moment in time or a memory that flashed to you?
I think the memories go all the way back to when you're a kid, and to your mom and dad and my family. When it all starts and you don't know where it's going, you start a journey, and in my case I started a journey about 60 miles north of where the Hall of Fame is located, and I went through all the stages in hockey as a player and now as a manager, and I've had some good fortune and met a lot of great people, and I've had the good fortune of having a lot of great players to help me get to the success of winning championships, which ultimately gets you to the Hall of Fame. So, but the first thought is, almost when you put your first pair of skates on and your mom and dad standing there was my first thoughts.
I listened to the Hall of Fame conference call, and you mentioned that when you came to Pittsburgh, you felt like you were sort of right place, right time. Came into a situation with Crosby and Malkin and Letang. And at the risk of making you brag a little bit, you obviously did some things right there. And with some retrospect, can you sort of put your finger on what you did right when you got here?
Well, I guess what I did right was to take the opportunity after I met with Mario and Ron and David, and I felt so good about that first meeting. But the point I was making is there were just great building blocks here to win a championship. I mean, before I got the call from David Morehouse, I pretty much made up my mind that I'd put enough time in the game and I was going to retire. But then when I came and I had that meeting with the owners, it was like, well, this is a great opportunity. I'm pretty sure that I can win a championship here. But of course, we know how hard that is, and there's not any guarantees. But I think, I had good people here to work with, Jason Botterill and Billy Guerin. I brought Jason Kermanis with me, and they had some good ideas, and we, had some interesting changes, really, like the first change with bringing Hornquist in for Neil, a guy that scored a lot of goals here, popular player. But I really felt that the culture needed to be changed. I think we just heard that a few months ago. The culture needed to be changed, and getting a guy like Hornquist was a big step to do that, and as it turned out, it was.
Jim, I'm curious, after your playing career, what made you want to get into team management? And did you have any mentors or anyone who kind of helped you along the way when you were new to this business?
I didn't know how to do anything else, Josh. So stick with the game of hockey and do what I know. But I love the game, so I wanted to stay in the game. And I was fortunate. I met Peter Kermanis from CompuWare. He asked me to start a specialty goalie school. He came to watch me work. He liked the way I worked, and he hired me. And he said, my goal is to get an NHL team, and I want you to be part of that. But let's take the proper steps first. So he's the guy that I really have to thank the most for getting me started, what I've learned from him, the loyalty he showed me. And then we gradually went through the right steps. I was in youth hockey for a couple of years, all the way back to the grassroots. Worked in the OHL, we had some success there. I'm not sure that this is on, if you want me to hold on.
Compared to those other high points.
Yeah, I haven't had enough time to think about it, but I remember winning that first cup in Carolina. It was a year where we were not odds-on favorite to win, but we were able to jump on some good opportunities coming out of the work stoppage and get some free agents, and we knew we had a good team. So you always have that excitement of winning the cup, and then to win the second one here, my second cup in Pittsburgh, and go back to back. You know, that feeling was special, but everything's happening so fast at that time when you win, and so much is going on. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. And today, there's not as many people around. You know, it hits you in a different way. But I think that it's so hard to put in words. I mean, you know, all the people that are in the Hall of Fame, all the great people that I'll have the chance to join, all the great people I've met in the game, and you just probably reflect more on the news today than when you win championships.
Jim, Dave asked what I was going to, so I'll switch it up a bit. Was just wondering what Pittsburgh and Carolina each have meant to you throughout your career.
Yeah, well, they both meant a lot. You know, I mean, it's really two different stories. You know, Carolina, we were trying to build a franchise, build a hockey market, and at the same time as we're trying to build it, you know, build the team. I had two roles there. It wasn't just hockey, the only thing I did there, and I took great pride in the strides we made in Carolina, and I liked it there. Liked the people there, liked the fans. It was a good place, and I'm really happy for where they are today because they're on the right track now. So that was a great experience, and probably would have been happy with my career and ending it with that. But as I said earlier, I got the call from David Morehouse. I met with Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle and David, and it was just a good meeting, and I knew at that meeting with everything that they said that I had a chance to win a cup. I'd lived in Pittsburgh before, so I knew how much I liked the people here, and it was an opportunity to come back, and it's just been a great experience. I mean, Pittsburgh is home now. We'll probably have a house here forever, and so I'm very fortunate to have the opportunities that I've been given. I don't take those lightly, and I'm happy I'm back in Pittsburgh.
I think you've been a manager 25 years. Does that sound right?
Oh, at least.
What I'm getting at is 25 years, win the cup 3 times. That's very rare. It's Hall of Fame caliber. But that means 22 times you didn't win the cup. Like, doesn't that get discouraging? Like how hard it is? And sort of the ratio of success to failure in pro sports?
Well, I don't think it's failure just because you don't win a cup every year. Because everybody, it's almost playing with a deck of cards, and you're dealt a different hand every time. And so, you know, when you go through the years, I mean, when I took over Hartford, I think we improved the team by something like 25 points the first year. You know, that's kind of a success, but Hartford didn't end up being a success because we didn't make the playoffs, and we ended up moving the team. So I look at that more as a 3-year disappointment, you know, and then go to Hartford and go to Carolina and play in Greensboro for 2 years, and it was a struggle, you know. So, but you're right. I mean, you wish you did better. I would say that there are years where I'm disappointed that we've missed opportunities, is probably a good way to say it. And this last year was a year that I knew we missed a good opportunity. Okay, and you think about those are the ones that really bother you. there's other years where you may not make the playoffs, and there you can, in your own way, it may not be fair, but in your own way you can justify it. You know, you had a bunch of injuries, or you know, you couldn't get the players you wanted or whatever. But there have been a few years where I know that we missed opportunities, and those ones are hard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bob Allen with KDKA.
Thanks, Bob.
You were GM of the Year, 3 Stanley Cups, now this, Hall of Fame. Where do you go from here?
Probably back to my office and see if we can change this team, like I've been trying to do for 2 months. This is a step in my career, but I still have that drive to be successful, and I still think the Penguins can win at least another championship here, you know, in the next few years. So I'll enjoy the moment. I'll enjoy my weekend in Toronto in November, but I still have the drive to win, and that's what I'm going to try and do.
Did you play for the Penguins?
I did,
Oh, okay.
almost 3 years.
When was that?
That was 71 to 74.
Okay. You goalie?
Yep.
Jim, are there any lessons you learned in those early years in Hartford that still serve you well all these years later?
I still learn lessons now, and if you don't last long. You have to have good people around you, and you have to learn lessons. You learn from your own mistakes, you learn from other people's mistakes. But certainly, you know, I was a rookie GM in the National Hockey League in Hartford in a tough situation, and I learned a lot from it. And I learned a lot from the move to Carolina. That was one of the most difficult situations that anybody could be in sports. When you're moving a franchise, you usually get an 18, 24-month period to do it. I think we moved one in a matter of 2 or 3 months. Moved to a city where we didn't have an arena, ended up playing 70 miles away from our actual home. You know, I've dealt with a lot of adversity through my career, but that's what you learn from, and that's what you get better from.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot.